Lindsay, don't look so impressed.
I'm confused. What did I miss? What's your life?
It's like wandering around with a mask over my eyes.
Mm.
Yeah. How are you guys' lives doing? Don't everyone talk at once. Guys, seriously. First period was so terrible. Like, it was dead. You cannot do this to me. I will quit. Like, honestly. You need
We
to
already scared our small group leader already like literally looked at us and went, okay, y'all are done, bye, and just left because we weren't talking and it was just not good. So we've already broke a teacher today, so good luck.
Yeah, no, we had like 5 minutes left in class too, so it was like.
She was like, I'm done, bye.
Who's your small group leader?
Mrs. Preston.
Yeah, that's Mrs. Preston style.
Well, and Lindsay started like drinking helium out of a balloon, so she was like, no one else was talking. Lindsay's just like, I'm in this like super high voice, and
nobody was talking. So I'm like, well, at least I'm gonna talk, but like you got to deal with the helium because why not?
Yeah.
And,
yes, there you go. You know, I would have been happy if so mostly I have boys in my first period, and it's first period. Garrett Cowan like falls out of bed, like literally this morning. He fell out, like there he was. There he is. I'm like, okay, well, welcome to ethics. So yeah, it was a thoroughly awkward 40-minute long class. I played a bit of Abbott and Costello, and I'll do that for you potentially as well. They're a comedy duo. They're really funny. And I don't think anyone even cracked a smile. I got halfway through and I was like, all right, we're done. Clicked out of it. That was that. So I'm hoping two things. One, you guys participate. And two, you guys participate. That's really it. So question number one. How many of you are done with your fallacies of presumption worksheets? Fallacies of presumption worksheets. Okay. How many of you found that was pretty straightforward and pretty easy to do?
There was like two problems that two of them that I was kind of iffy on, but the rest were pretty understandable.
So what my hope was for first period is that we would go back and look at some of the more difficult ones just to clarify and make sure that we understood what they were and why they were what they were. And I'm willing to do that with you guys as well because there's a couple in here that are kind of difficult. Emily talked with me yesterday about a couple of them. Got it all figured out. But I think it's probably pretty valuable for us to kind of go back through and look at a couple of them just so that we know. If you want to just skip it and go ahead, we can do that too, though. How many of you say, no, let's go back and look at a couple of the more difficult ones so we know what they are and why they are? How many of you say, yeah, let's do that?
I say we go all the way through and then we stop at the ones that are the most difficult.
That's not a bad idea. That's exactly actually what I was going to do in first period. And nothing. I don't even know if they had the worksheet out. It was so bad. Okay, so anyway, if you have your worksheets, pull those out and let's walk through these. And so what I want to do here is I'm going to call on one of you, for each question and say, what do you think it is? And if you don't have it right, I'll say nope, and I'll call on somebody else. Okay, and don't have your feelings too hurt about it if that's the case, because it's just, welcome to Mr. Cook's class, right? Number one, let's go with Christina. Christina, what do you think that is?
False cause?
You're right. False cause. Turns out drinking whiskey doesn't make you win battles. And if you'd have to make the argument, be a hard argument to make. But the way that it's put, it's definitely false cause. Sophia, what did you put for number two? And you can speak through the mask if you want.
Well.
Here, if you would rather, I'll listen with the mask on.
Oh, perfect. I got wrong one. Jokes. It's not, I didn't write it on my worksheet. I wrote it on a notebook. So I have to get it out.
Hey guys, look who I am. Ben Shapiro. I've got the little yarmulke on. Okay, what'd you say, Sophia?
Complex question.
Complex question. You are correctamundo. Why would that be a complex question?
Because the answer that they wanted was already in there. It was like, do you realize that the vast majority of painful animal experiment has no relation at all to human survival or elimination of disease?
Yes, so get it, so.
And they were like, we want you to think that everything's horrible, and yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And do you think that the pollster here is really trying to get information? Oh, they didn't know that. No. They're just trying to get you to agree with something without making an argument for it. Okay, numero 3. Spanish is my second language, in case you're wondering. Numero 3. Would somebody, Lindsay, you give me like this look every time I say something ridiculous.
Well, hey, doesn't that make your life interesting? Come on, you're just waiting for my response.
Yeah,
Come
no, I say half of it just so that you give me the look like you're being ridiculous.
Like,
yeah.
oh no, we're going down the same road again.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, comparative religions.
Well, that class was special. Let's admit that comparative religions was special. It was a special class. I guess.
Yeah, because you showed very much how much you hated it during the whole thing while you're still trying to teach it, but yet you're like, oh, this is so stupid. Like,
I disagree with that. I cover my emotions very well.
Why did you hate the class?
because you had to reteach Christianity to everybody.
Numero 3, people. Let's get back to numero 3. What is that one? Ian, what'd you put?
False dichotomy.
False dichotomy. Nope. Lindsay, what'd you put?
You know, I did begging the question.
Nope. Celia, what'd you put?
False cause.
Nope. Anna, what'd you put?
Accident generalization.
You're correct. Anna gets an extra point. Why is that? So now let's see if you really get the extra point. Why is that accident or generalization? By the way, this is I think probably the hardest one.
Because he's saying that there's no other, like, the loss of the forest is only because of the fires being set. Like,
right, by agribusiness.
There could be other causes, but he's making it into a black and white issue kind of thing.
Right. So the way to look at number 3 is you have to realize that his conclusion, it's in the title. It isn't farmers who kill rainforests. Right? It's also the very first line of the discussion. Family farms are not destroying rainforests. That's what he wants you to conclude. And the argument goes something along the lines of these fires are deliberately set by agribusiness, not by family farmers, but by agribusiness. And that is what's generally, and this is and by the way, that's a general rule, right? That's generally the truth. Agribusiness is destroying the rainforest. And then the therefore is, right? Because the general rule is that agribusiness is destroying the rainforest, therefore family farms are not at all to blame. By the way, necessarily true. Celia and Anna, we can hear you.
Sorry, the
Computer's having trouble.
No, that's fine. That's good. I like to hear people speak, especially today. Like, my gosh, first period, I would have given money, probably hundreds of dollars, if everyone had just talked. Haley.
What was the fallacy again?
The fallacy was generalization or accident. So it was the general rule is that and that is generally true. Agribusiness is destroying the rainforest or burning it down in order to expand farmland. Therefore, family farms are not to blame. Well, not necessarily, right? You're taking a general rule and you're applying it specifically. That's not necessarily the case. Okay, number 4. Let's go with Sophia. What did you put for that?
Generalization.
You put what?
Okay, accident generalization.
That is not correct.
Yeah, by your face I could tell it's wrong.
Are you telling me that I don't hide my expressions very well? Haley, what did you put?
Begging the question.
You are correct, Mundo. Why is this begging the question?
Because it's like asking, like, how can we doubt the word of the children of gods? It's like they're pretty much justifying saying, oh, someone said that they're like the child of God, so how can we not like believe them, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. We can trust the children of God. So, of course, when the children of God say they're children of God, you can believe the children of God's. That's definitely circular. Okay, let's look at the next one. This one's funny. Can I read it out loud? Because I just think it's funny. In a motion picture featuring a famous French comedian, Sacha Guitry, some thieves are arguing over the division of 7 pearls worth a king's ransom. One of them hands 2 to the man on his right and then 2 to the man on his left. I, he says, will keep 3. The man on his right says, how come you get to keep 3? Because I am the leader. Oh, but how come you are the leader? Because I have more pearls. What's that? Crystal.
Is that one? I'm not feeling so hot about that one.
Okay, well.
I put generalization on that one.
What?
I put generalization.
Generalization is not correct, Amundo. Emily, what did you put?
I put begging the question.
You are correct. Why is that begging the question?
Because he kind of like plays it off that like, because he has more than the others and he's the leader because he has more than the others. So he's like going back and forth. It
goes around in circles. That's actually a Billy Preston song.
I don't like when there's like 2 of the same answers in a row. That always makes me feel like uncomfy.
Oh, you've seen nothing yet. Like in my class, sometimes I will mess with kids and I'll put like, I know it sounds kind of terrible, but they'll be like true and
like all true.
And they'll be like 30 trues in a row.
I don't like that. Peterson did, or I think Mrs. Maupin did that in like 8th grade, that she put all true, and like Celia was the only person who got him right.
What was number 5?
They were all false, right?
Something like that.
Taking
Yeah.
the question. So.
Okay, let's continue. Numero 60. 60. That's Italian. 60. What's that? Let's go with Christina again.
I have false cause for this one.
And why would you put false cause? You're right, by the way.
Okay. Because why did I say that? Because he looked. They was saying like because he looked at the moon, or something like that. I don't know.
That's really bad. When you look over your left shoulder at the moon, bound to die every time. False cause. Okay.
Totally
number
not
7.
grade mine.
What was that?
I said you better not put these in the grade book.
You can fix it and turn it back in.
Bet.
What does that mean? I don't know what
It
that
means that's exactly what I'm going to do.
Okay, good. Good. I bet you can. I'm an old man, so don't judge, okay? Why am I so clever, Ian? What's that?
Complex question.
That's right, complex question. Nietzsche's like, why am I so dang smart? Why am I smarter than everyone else? Why am I the smartest person ever? He thought he was until he slept with a person that had like chlamydia, and then he went crazy. So there was that. Oh, you didn't know that? Yeah, welcome to Nietzsche's world. Actually, you don't want to join Nietzsche's world because it's disturbing. Number 8. Lindsay, what did you put for number 8? It's kind of a hard one, so.
False dichotomy.
Nope. Sophia, what did you put?
False cause.
Nope. Emily, what'd you put?
We're on number 8, correct?
Yep.
Okay, begging the question.
Yep. Why is that begging the question?
Because they just used the word knowledge like 4 times in the statement, and they just kept going back around.
And you just took a random stab at it and hope for the best? Yeah.
Well,
so
if you read it, it keeps going back to knowledge. So yes.
Yeah, there's no such thing as knowledge that can't be carried in practice because that's not really knowledge. See how that's circular reasoning? He just repeats himself.
So
Okay.
is circular reasoning and begging the question the same thing? So if I wrote circular reasoning, that works.
Yes.
Okay.
Circular reasoning and begging the question is the same thing. In fact, the way that I usually, when I'm talking just to regular normal people without using, no one knows what begging the question is, right? So I'm like, you know, when I'm talking to my kids, I'm like, that's circular reasoning, Henry. You know, and I'm like Henry, begging the question. You know, anyway, circular reasoning kind of implies what it is in itself. Yeah. Okay, number nine. Anyone have a good answer for number 9? Haley, what do you think that is?
I said false cause.
You are correct, Amundo. Why would that be false cause?
Saying schools were fine until the government got involved.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
Doesn't necessarily mean that. You're looking at a correlation. It's not necessarily causation. Crystal, are you feeling good about number 10?
Sure.
Okay, shoot.
I said false
Roger
cause.
Babson. What?
I said false cause on that one too.
You are correct, Amundo. Why was that false cause? 2 in a row. I know it was going to be challenging. Right?
I know. That's why I figured I might be right this time.
Yeah, so this
So
is
kind
false
of
cause
you.
because it turns out opening the window in the winter may not be directly connected to getting better. So does that kind of all make sense? Okay, guys, it's time for us to move on to the next family of fallacies. How many of you are excited to get ambiguous?
Woo!
Pretend. Sophia, come on, be happy, smile. If you're not going to smile, no, you're not going to smile, then you better put on your mask. Put on the mask so we can't see that you're not smiling. I got my mask on. You can't see that I'm frowning. There we go. That's better. Okay, unless you want to smile, then you can take off the mask. So I'm sharing the screen. Oh gosh, Abbott and Costello, gotta love them. We'll play them at the end, provided we have time. Logic, darn it, there's the logic test, guys. Coming your way very soon. Fallacies of ambiguity. Can somebody tell me, just kind of in general, what the term ambiguity, or if that's a scary word for you, try the word ambiguous. What does that kind of mean? Somebody? Anybody? Anybody at all? Ian?
Open to interpretation.
Sure, we'll go with that. Yeah, open to interpretation. It could have multiple different meanings, right? So let's look at some of these fallacies. And lots of times there is confusion when we are talking to others, or we are reading things that others have written, because the language is such that the meaning is open to interpretation. That is, there can be more than one meaning. Sometimes there's many different meanings. Let's look at the first one. This one's fairly common. It's the fallacy of equivocation. So using one word or a phrase where there is more than one meaning. And so the example that we have for equivocation, darn it, comes out of the, let me take this off, out of the book Alice in Wonderland, which, by the way, is thoroughly messed up. How many of you have ever seen the Disney movie Alice in Wonderland? And you're like, wow, the amount of drugs that somebody was taking for this had to have been significant. Is that kind of what you thought? Yeah, that's what I think anyway. Okay, here we go, Alice in Wonderland. Who did you pass on the road? The king asked. Nobody, said the messenger. Well, quite right, said the king. This young lady saw him too, so of course, nobody walks slower than you. My last class, every single person seemed to be confused about what was going on in this discussion. How many of you are confused about what's going on in this little clip? How many of you are like, nope, I kind of know what's going on. I see the fallacy right here. I see what the confusion is. Anyone can tell what it is? Celia, tell me what's going on here.
He is referring to nobody as an actual like individual or person instead of just a vague like absence of something.
Yeah, notice here in the last time that this young lady saw him too, so nobody, notice nobody's capitalized. He's treating nobody as if it's a person's name. Get it? Now all of a sudden, does it kind of make sense? Before it doesn't, like before the king, what he says is completely like confusing unless nobody is a guy's name. Which, by the way, if you think about it, you know, my wife's gonna be having a baby here in like a month. Okay, I'm gonna just put that on my head.
Do you have any names?
I've got many names.
Picked out for the baby.
Oh, you mean for the baby? Oh, okay.
Wait, is it a boy or a girl?
Girl.
Yay! I want another Ava.
Yeah, although I'm not sure. We've got names. I'm not going to go into that right now. You guys are trying to distract me.
Oh, can you please tell me then?
You're invested in the life of your children.
Is that right? Or you invested in being distracted? How about
No,
that?
I actually.
Oh, really though? Yeah.
At the end of class today, I will share with you some names that I have suggested and my wife has said no to.
Okay.
Okay. All right, let's look at
Are they
another.
German?
Like my dog, Windegard.
Yeah.
So once again, equivocation using more than the meaning of one word or phrase in an argument. I want to have myself a merry little Christmas, but I refuse to do as the song suggests and to make the Yuletide gay. I don't think sexual preference should have anything to do with enjoying the holiday. So what's the word here that is two different meanings?
Okay.
Gay. Back in the olden days, before gay meant, well, what it means today, what did it used to mean? How was it commonly used?
Didn't it mean like, like happy or something?
Yeah, make the Yuletide gay. It does not have anything to do with homosexuality. Okay, so this is equivocation. Now, listen to this part pretty carefully, because when it comes to differentiating between this one and the next one, there's a good way to do it. Obviously, these are fallacies of ambiguity, right? So these both have to do with not really knowing what the meaning of the sentence is, right? In the case of equivocation, you can narrow down the confusion to either one word or a short phrase having two different meanings, or maybe even three different meanings. That's equivocation. The next one we're going to be looking at is one in which the grammar is confused, and you can't narrow it down to one word or a phrase having two or three different meanings, but rather the grammar is such holistically that the sentence can mean several different things. Okay, and the next one's called amphibole, ambiguous grammatical meaning. And so I'm going to share with you guys a little story here to help illustrate how this fallacy works. There was once a great king who had a kingdom that had great wealth. He had an army, and he wanted to expand the reach of his kingdom to the north. And so he began to cast his eye on conquering the northern kingdom. To see how his chances of success would be, he visited an oracle or a fortune teller. And he asked the oracle, if I go to war against the northern kingdom, will I be victorious? The oracle said to him, O great king, if you go to war, you shall destroy a mighty kingdom. And so the king took this as a sign that he should attack the kingdom. And so he takes his army and marches northward. After several days of battle, the king and his army, badly beaten, is retreating back across the northern border, moving fairly quickly, as the northern kingdom is chasing them from behind. On his way back through his kingdom that he is now losing, he stops in to ask the oracle why the oracle got it so wrong. And the oracle replied to the king, O great king, I did not get it wrong at all. The mighty kingdom that you have destroyed is your own. I love the hand clap. Thanks, Lindsay. And so we have in this story an example of, it can mean several different things. If you go to war, you'll destroy a mighty kingdom. It doesn't say whose kingdom. It is ambiguous. And by the way, not that I'm saying I have much experience with this or any experience, if you go to see the fortune teller, it's pretty common that they will use ambiguous language, so it's very difficult for them to be wrong. You could interpret it two different ways. No matter which way it goes, they're kind of right, because the language is such that it's not specific. Does that kind of make sense? So in other words, watch your grammar. by the way, commas can save lives. Have you guys ever seen that? Okay, moving on. Accent. Once again, we're talking about fallacies of ambiguity. Let's look at just one very simple sentence. And depending on how we accent the words, the meaning of the sentence changes. We should not speak ill of our friends. Okay, that's fairly straightforward. But notice, of course, I didn't accent any words. Now let's accent the words, and you tell me what it might mean if a word is accented slightly differently. We should not speak ill of our friends suggests what? Somebody tell me, what might that suggest?
That we can speak ill about other people's friends, but not ours.
Yeah, we should not speak ill of our friends, but when it comes to, well, those people's friends over there, we'll definitely speak ill. We should not speak ill of our friends suggests what?
You can act ill towards your friends.
Potentially, or even at the very least think. Should not speak ill, but we can think it. Maybe we can even act on it. We should not speak ill of our friends suggests what?
That like me and you shouldn't speak ill.
Yeah, and, you know, somebody else does. Well, it is what it is. In fact, I kind of hope so. How many of you have ever gotten a text message from a friend or maybe even a parent, and because in your mind you accent one of the words in a way that was unintended by the author, you've been kind of offended by it? You ever had that happen? My guess is most of us probably have. And
No, you know what gets us is when somebody puts a period at the end. Like, why they gotta be so, like, you know, just like blunt. It's just like, whoa, period. Oh my gosh.
in texting?
Yes. It's like, you know, your friends don't text with a period. If it's all caps, you know, it's like, oh my gosh, what's happening? But like, if they had the period at the end, like, I didn't do anything. What's your problem?
Are you talking about like actual punctuation or
yes,
just like
because actual
punctuation,
texting doesn't need it, but like
period.
Yeah, if someone uses actual punctuation in text, you're done. Like you might
yeah,
as well
when they don't beforehand, like
Apparently, I'm done for then.
Befuddled. I never text anything to anybody without perfect punctuation and commas.
Well, you know, if you know the person before they start to do that and then they start to do it, you're like, I didn't do anything. That's not the way you're supposed to text.
An English class.
Ugh.
Okay, well, you know, I'm very clearly. The other thing is that, you know, what's really frustrating about texting? The vocabulary most people use for texting is so incredibly small. It's frustrating because when you does autocorrect, it corrects to stupid words that I don't use. Like, I don't use that word. You know, for instance, trying to type the word in like ambiguously, and yes, that is a word that I would use in a text. Like, it's not in there. You talk to text, like it changes it to something stupid, like am big, and then some symbol, and you're like, well, what the crap? That's not what I said. Like, anyway, maybe you guys have similar frustrations. But yeah, no, I'm not a big fan. Somebody with a bigger vocabulary needs to come up with common words. Anyway, let's move on. Composition. Oh my gosh, once again, fallacies of ambiguity here. And let me also say that, so we've got this one and one more, and they're basically the same, but they're the inverse of each other. And this one has to do with, because it's true of something that's smaller doesn't necessarily mean that it's true of the whole, right? So the way to think about this one versus the next one is that with composition, you look at the pieces and then you assume something true of the whole. With the next one, it's called division. You look at the whole and then you sort of fall into applying it to the specifics. So what's true of the parts does not necessarily mean that it's true of the whole. Buses use more gasoline than cars. By the way, that is true of the parts. You put a bus up next to a Prius. One of those is going to use more fuel. Now, if you put a bus next to my pickup truck, it's probably pretty even. That's what I get for driving a Chevy, which is awesome. My Chevy truck is awesome. Don't judge. Am I killing the environment? No, I don't think. I'm not going to think about it. Anyway, so but in actuality, because no, this is fallacy of ambiguity here. Cars actually do use more gasoline than buses do around the world. You add up all the cars and the fuel that they use versus all the buses and the fuel that they use. Turns out, because this is kind of a bit ambiguous, it's not applicable across both conceptions. Okay, so once again, because it's true of the parts doesn't mean that it's true of the whole. Next one, as I said, is pretty similar. Division, what is true of the whole is not necessarily true of the parts. University students study medicine, law, engineering, history, dentistry, and architecture. Okay, well that's true of the whole, right? These are the programs that the college offers or the university offers for students to take. But is every student studying medicine, law, engineering, history, dentistry, and architecture? But because of the grammar, you could try to apply it specifically, and then it becomes quite untenable. Does that make sense? Hello, hello. Buongiorno. One time, my wife and I, we went to Italy. And gosh dang, that place is crazy. We tried to learn Italian before we went. That was a disaster. Pretty much the only thing I got was buongiorno. And then something along the lines of it's amore. Right?
Did you go to Vatican City?
Oh, yes. Best part of Italy is actually inside of Italy, and that's Vatican City, its own little country. It's beautiful. I'm a big fan.
Did you go into like the Pope's house? Don't correct me on this, but like and walk up like the huge spiral to the very, very top, and it's like super duper skinny. Did you get to do that?
The Pope's house?
Like the cathedral.
You mean St. Peter's Basilica?
Yeah, that.
Yes, I did, and that was awesome. Yeah, no. So the Pope actually lives in a little bitty apartment. Yeah, not in the church building itself, but yes, I did. That's really cool because as you go up to the top, you keep leaning more and more and more.
It's so scary.
We have a really up there on the top, well, right below the dome. There's this little shop, and my wife and I we bought this this little crucifix that still hangs in our house. I kind of feel it's a special one because it probably has the Pope's blessing. There we have it. Like
probably.
Yeah. I don't know if it's his Pope's blessing, but somebody's. Okay, so there we have it. There we have the different fallacies, the fallacies of ambiguity. And at this point, if you guys are willing to try to have a good sense of humor, we're going to look at Abbott and Costello, do the who's on first, what's on second, I don't know, is on third routine. And if I can tell you guys are just wanting this to be done, then maybe I'll stop it partway through and be like, okay, well, we're going to skip Abbott and Costello. And but what I want you guys to do when we look at this is which of the fallacies that we just learned about, equivocation, amphibole, accent, division, or composition, is being kind of the crux of this routine.
Oh, that's Sebastian, but not in front of him. I beg his pardon, friend.
Ladies and gentlemen, and also the children, will you excuse me for a minute, please? Thank you.
What do you want to do?
Look, Mr. Broadhurst.
Right. What are you doing?
I love baseball.
Well, we all love baseball.
When we get to St. Louis, will you tell me the guys' names on the team so when I go to see them in that St. Louis ballpark, I'll be able to know those fellas?
Well, now, is it all right, folks? All right.
Excuse me, I want to find out the fellas' names.
As long as it's okay with the audience.
I'm crazy about baseball.
Will you stand still? Pick up your hat. Go pick up your hat.
Okay.
Now, look. Then you'll go and peddle your popcorn and don't interrupt the act anymore?
Yes, sir.
All right. But you know, strange as it may seem, they give ball players nowadays very peculiar names.
Funny names?
Nicknames, pet names.
Not as funny as my name, Sebastian Dinwiddie.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Funnier than that?
Oh, absolutely, yes. Now, on the St. Louis team, we have who's on first, what's on second, I don't know's on third.
That's what I want to find out. I want you to tell me the names of the fellas on the St. Louis team.
I'm telling you, who's on first, what's on second, I don't know's on third.
Do you know the fellas' names?
Yes.
Well, then who's playing first?
Yes.
I mean the fellow's name on first base.
Who?
The fellow playing first base for St. Louis.
Who?
The guy on first base.
Who is on first?
Well, what are you asking me for?
I'm not asking you, I'm telling you, who is on first?
I'm asking you who's on first.
That's the man's name.
That's whose name?
Yes.
Well, go ahead and tell me.
Who?
The guy on first.
Who?
The first baseman.
Who is on first?
Have you got a first baseman on first?
Certainly.
Then who's playing first?
Absolutely.
When you pay off the first baseman every month, who gets the money?
Every dollar of it. Why not? The man's entitled to it.
Who is?
Yes.
So who gets it?
Why shouldn't he? Sometimes his wife comes down and collects it.
Whose wife?
Yes. After all, the man earns it.
Who does?
Absolutely.
Well, all I'm trying to find out is what's the guy's name on first base?
Oh, no. What is on second base?
I'm not asking you who's on second.
Who's on first?
That's what I'm trying to find out.
Well, don't change the players.
I'm not changing nobody.
Take it easy.
What's the guy's name on first base?
What's the guy's name on second base?
I'm not asking you who's on second.
Who's on first?
I don't know.
He's on third. We're not talking about him.
How did I get on third base?
You mentioned his name.
If I mention a third baseman's name, who did I say is playing third?
No, who's playing first?
Stay off of first, will you?
Well, what do you want me to do?
Now, what's the guy's name on third base?
Well, what's on second?
I'm not asking you who's on second.
Who's on first?
I don't know.
He's on third.
There I go, back on third again.
Well, I can't change their names.
Will you please stay on third base, Mr. Broadhurst?
Now, what is it you want to know?
What is the fella's name on third base?
What is the fella's name on second base?
I'm not asking you who's on second.
Who's on first?
I don't know. Third base. You got an outfield?
Oh, sure.
St. Louis has got a good outfield?
Absolutely.
The left fielder's name?
Why?
I don't know. I just thought I'd ask you.
Well, I just thought I'd tell you.
Then tell me who's playing left field.
Who is playing first?
Stay out of the infield!
Don't mention their names out here.
I want to know what's the fella's name in left field.
What is on second?
I'm not asking you who's on second.
Who is on first?
I don't know. Third base.
Oh, take it easy. Take it easy, man.
And the left fielder's name?
Why?
Because.
Oh, he's center field. He's center. Will you pick up your hat, please? Pick up your hat and
Look.
stop this. Oh, look,
Mr.
please.
Broadhurst.
Yes.
Wait a minute. You got a pitcher on the team?
Wouldn't this be a fine team without a pitcher?
I don't know. Tell me the pitcher's name.
Tomorrow.
You don't want to tell me the date?
I'm telling you, man.
Then go ahead.
Tomorrow.
What time?
What time what?
What time tomorrow you're going to tell me who's pitching?
Now listen. Who is not pitching? Who is
I'll
on?
break your arm. You say who's on first?
Why come up here and ask?
I want to know what's the pitcher's name.
What's on second?
I don't know.
Third
base. You got a catcher?
Yes.
The catcher's name?
Today.
Today. And tomorrow's pitching.
Now you've got it.
That's all. St. Louis has got a couple of days on the team.
Well, I
That's all.
can't help that. All right. What do you want me to do?
Got a catcher?
Yes.
I'm a good catcher, too, you know.
I know that.
I would like to play for the St. Louis team.
Well, I might arrange that.
I would like to catch. Now, I'm being a good catcher. Tomorrow's pitching on the team, and I'm catching.
Yes.
Tomorrow throws the ball, and the guy up bunts the ball.
Yes.
Now, when he bunts the ball, me being a good catcher, I'm going to throw the guy out at first base, so I pick up the ball and throw it to who?
Now, that's the first thing you've said right.
I don't even know what I'm talking about.
Well, that's all you have to do.
Is to throw it to first base.
Yeah.
Now, who's got it?
Naturally.
Who has it?
Naturally.
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 Okay.
Now, you've got it.
I pick up the ball and I throw it to naturally.
I know, you don't. You throw the ball to first base.
Then who gets it?
Naturally.
Okay.
All right.
I throw the ball to naturally.
You don't. You throw it to who?
Naturally.
Well, that's it. Say it that way.
That's what I said.
You did not.
I said I throw the ball to naturally.
You don't. You throw it to who?
Naturally.
Yes.
So I throw the ball to first base and naturally gets it.
No, you throw the ball to first base.
Then who gets it?
Naturally.
That's what I'm saying.
You're not saying that.
Excuse me, folks.
All right, I'm sorry, friend.
I throw the ball to naturally.
You throw it to who?
Naturally.
That's it. Well, say it that way.
That's what I'm
Don't
saying.
get excited. Now, don't get
I
excited.
throw the ball to first base
Then
and
who gets it?
he better get
That's
it.
it. All right, now don't get excited. Take it easy.
Now I throw the ball to first base. Whoever it is drops the ball, so the guy runs to second. Who picks up the ball and throws it to what? What throws it to? I don't know. I don't know. Throws it back to tomorrow. A triple play.
Yeah, it could be.
Another guy gets up and it's a long fly ball to because. Why? I don't know. He's on third, and I don't care.
What was that?
I said, I don't care.
Oh, that's a shortstop.
Accident.
Okay.
Accent.
Accent. I've got one vote for accent. Any other votes?
Equivocation.
Equivocation.
I second Christina's vote. That was hilarious, though.
Okay, so let's raise our hands. How many of you think that it is amphibole? How many of you think it's accent? How many of you think it's equivocation? Yeah, if you said equivocation, you're right. It's because in the case of Abbott and Costello, Costello couldn't seem to understand that who was not a question, but was the guy's name, who. So very much similar as, you know, the king who saw nobody walking down the road, right? So your homework for this afternoon is the Fallacies of Ambiguity worksheet. So you want to be working on that. Depending on how you've been doing, I think that this one, while for me, I love the Fallacies of Ambiguity worksheet. I think it's fun and funny. I notice that my students sometimes have a difficult time accomplishing, doing very, very well on this one. And so if that's the case, if you start working on this and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm struggling to get the right answers here, then feel free, of course, to send me an email and say, Mr. Cook, can we meet on Zoom sometime and maybe walk through some of these? And I'll be happy to do so. So please feel free to do that. Additionally, you will have noted, if you've looked at your Google Classroom, that we have an exam coming up on Monday over logic. It's going to have the fallacies, and you'll have to be familiar with the fallacies and be able to recognize the fallacies. You have to be familiar with the three families of fallacies. You'll have to be familiar with valid and true arguments, valid and false arguments, invalid arguments, all that. Pretty much the stuff that we've been learning in ethics over logic over the last month or so. It's not quite that much, last 3 weeks. So, so that will be the order of business for the coming rest of the week and the weekend. And like I say, the exam will probably take most of the class period on next Monday. The way that's going to work is you're going to have a Google Forms show up 2 minutes before class begins in your Google Classroom, and you'll be answering questions that I have on a shared screen and filling those out in Google Forms. And then the back part of the quiz is something that you guys will have the questions to in the Google form itself. So that's the way it's going to look. That's the way it's going to happen. If for whatever reason you're going to be absent, please let me know beforehand so I can make arrangements with you to either join another class or another time. Okay, so that's what I have for you today. Are there any questions? Questions about anything? All right, so you hopefully enjoyed Abbott and Costello. We will see you guys on Monday, if not before. Have a good rest of your day and a good rest of your week. Peace out. Me and the Pope say peace.